In the mid-19th century, the town of Dundas, Ontario enjoyed a commercial boom, fueled by the growth of the milling industry and the opening of the Desjardins Canal. The bustling valley soon became home to a large number of taverns and hotels, which sprang up in every corner of the community. The Riley House was one of Dundas's oldest and longest operating taverns. It was a significant site in the town's early development and is among the most important Dundas buildings which no longer stand. Built in 1827 by Peter Bamberger, the establishment was originally known as Bamberger's Inn. The Bambergers were Pennsylvania Loyalists, and theirs was a tavern in the American colonial style familiar to New England immigrants. Designed to accommodate travelers by stagecoach, Bamberger's was located on the west side of Main Street near the old stage line which ran down York Road to Dundas Street. With 60 rooms at the time of its construction, it boasted that it was the largest hotel west of York. The first town council meeting was held in Bamberger's, shortly before Dundas built its town hall. Its size and accommodations meant that Bamberger's had a near monopoly on important gatherings in the early years of the town. Peter Bamberger's only daughter married James Riley, and when Peter died in 1848, the establishment became known as the Riley House, or Riley's Hotel. James' children, Peter Bamberger Riley and Sarah Riley, would then operate the tavern as proprietor and hostess until 1883. This scene is the earliest known photograph of the Riley House, likely dating to the mid-1860s. Could the whiskered gentleman at the reins be Mr. Peter B. Riley himself? In his later years, Mr. Riley was known for his wonderful beard. According to the recollections of former Mayor William Moss, it was not only the pride, but the envy and standard of every young man, whiskers being in vogue in those days. Examples of original tableware from Riley's are now in the collection of the Dundas Museum and date to before 1867. Sarah Riley, whose husband Luke Ballard would eventually become co-owner, was renowned as an exceptional cook. The extensive gardens which supplied the Riley House kitchen appear clearly on Marcus Smith's 1851 map. The Rileys were prominent advertisers, buying space in local papers and county directories to remind their customers that their tables were always supplied with the delicacies of the season. Some of the old town council minutes conclude their business with the note, "Adjourning to the Riley House." The extensive stables of the Riley House were another notable feature. For many decades, these stables were considered the finest in town, and at one point, in the 1860s, they even served as the temporary home for the horses and animals of a traveling circus. After the Rileys sold the business, it changed ownership regularly until the turn of the century. Many different proprietors took their turn at the helm, but the iconic Riley House sign was always left on the building. Locals never referred to it as anything else. This glass negative shows the Riley House as it looked under the proprietorship of Alex Crooks in the 1890s. Parked out front is J. Enright's horse-drawn omnibus, which once ferried passengers between the train station and the various hotels of Dundas. Another coach, part of the Hamilton-Dundas line, left the Riley House twice a day on its route between the two communities. It was the Temperance Act of 1916 that put the Riley House out of business. An auction in 1920 sold the contents and furnishings of the tavern, and the John Bertram and Sons Company converted the building into apartments for their employees. In 1956, it was demolished to make room for the shipping and receiving area of Bertram's Pratt & Whitney Small Tool Division, which faced the other side of the block on Ogilvy Street. It remains a parking lot to this day.